With all respect, welcome. Now, if the polls were held today, according to the latest opinion poll commissioned by the Nation Media Group, my guests tonight would win, and I would be addressing them as governors of Nairobi and Mombasa County. Here's how it looks. Abdulswamad Nassir has a commanding lead of 40% against his closest challenger, that's Mike Mbuvi, who polled at 33%. That's in Mombasa. In Nairobi, Johnston Sakaja of UDA commands the field at 37% against Polycarp Igathe's 21%. Nairobi and Mombasa are top county cities. They are both economic hubs, and many Kenyans hold these two places dearly. The polls indicate the issues facing these counties are surprisingly very similar. Access to clean water, high cost of living, transport and infrastructure, and the rest. You'll hear from the candidates. These are issues that residents thought are a pain point and needed to be addressed. There is more. My guests tonight are not strangers and have held very central positions in both their political formations. Johnston Sakaja was the chairman of Jubilee in the beginning, and the Nairobi senator holding chairmanship of several committees, including labor and welfare. I hope I got that correct. Yes. Abdulswamad, member of parliament of Mbita, and has been chairman of the Public Investment Committee, amongst others. I hope I got that correct as well.
Perfectly.
So these gentlemen should and can speak eloquently about the state of the nation, state of politics, and how we got here. We do expect them to also help us with their difference between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, even as they make their pitch for running both Nairobi and Mombasa County. Without much further ado, with all due respect, welcome my guests.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Gentlemen, how's the campaign?
So far, so good. Honestly, personally, on my personal accord, I think hitting the ground with the right notion that this is what it is that you want to do, listening to people, is proven to be an easier task than was anticipated.
Would you want to say that just before people vote?
Well, I actually think that it is an easier task in the sense that the reciprocated love that you get.
Okay.
When people are out there and they can literally be able to embrace you, knowing that you can be able to make that difference that they want.
Okay, Sakaja, how is it for you?
Well, for me, it's, I mean, every day you see the great inequalities in Nairobi. Nairobi is the most unequal city on our continent. 1 minute you could be in the depth of the sewers, you know, in Mathare, and in 3 minutes you're in Muthaiga Country Club. So all of that inequality, what people are going through, the high cost of living, the despair, lack of hope, and another disconnected group of people, all in one day, for me shows the work we need to do. The kind of lives that people are living is always really awakening. The lack of dignity, the lack of order, the lack of hope really tells us what we need to do. So for me, I mean, it's been a long time coming, because being senator, you go out all the time. So it's not different in terms of campaign, but the the responsibility on you to give hope, to tell people that we can actually have a city of order, dignity, hope, opportunities, sometimes is daunting. But we wake up every day, we try, and we still go out there.
So the thing is this, during these political campaigns, it happens all the time. We have, political promises, we have political formations, and your promises as, heaven, all the great things, we will fix your roads, we are going to have clean water, I'll make sure the youth have a place to go, I'll fix, unemployment and that sort of thing. And that's just to start this broader conversation. Let me start with you somewhat. Where is Azimio, and its promises? Is it the best? And would you say Kenya Kwanza are not promising anything? And why are you not in Kenya Kwanza in Azimio, per se?
Because Kenya Kwanza are part of the problem.
Explain that.
When you, I mean, the leader of Kenya Kwanza, the Jubilee Party, has been in, you have to ask yourself, when did it start raining? When did the rain start hitting us? Every single time I hear this, this notion that is coming out, oh, but there's the handshake, serikali ni yenu. It's never been about that. It's never been about that.
Can I just push back a little?
My schoolmate knows that as well.
Let me push.
It's never been about that.
I mean, I'll come to him, but we're setting the stage here. Let me push back a little. Hasn't ODM, for the last 5 years, since 2018, be part and parcel of the decisions that this government has made?
No, we haven't. And I strongly insist that we've not been part and parcel.
You've not voted together with government?
No, not in everything. Not in everything. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you a classic example. One of the things that we stood our ground on was issues to do, let's say, with the effect of the SGR on the economy of Mombasa. We stood our ground. We stood firm. Our party leader knows that this is what we actually stood for. It had nothing to do with whether there's a handshake or no handshake. And there's quite a number of other bills that we've been able. By the way, I'll give you another example. Even after the handshake, there was a time when the Railway Development Levy Fund, that is actually a fund that is meant to pay the Chinese debt, when even after the handshake, when the government side brought in an amendment saying that because of COVID we've been unable to collect enough revenue, so we want this levy to be amended. And in the process of that levy to be amended, you know, the act governing it, they wanted it to actually use part of that money in the day-to-day running of the SGR. Amongst the people who actually voted it down was us. So
that provides a difference.
All I'm saying is our party leader simply told us that, look, we have two options. I mean, you know, you go hard hitting in every single thing, or you agree to agree and agree to disagree.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that, you know.
Sakaja, there's a question here, and I just run it through what Abdulswamad brings in. It says, Ruto is in government, so Ruto for sure cannot run away from everything the government has happened. The question on SGR is an interesting one. We'll go through it in a moment. But what's the difference? What differentiates Kenya Kwanza and Azimio? And why are you not in Azimio and Kenya Kwanza?
I think, first of all, you must realize that even within, because it says Kenya Kwanza has been the problem, the chairman of the Azimio Council is the current president. It's all the same, if you ask me, in terms of, you cannot blame one side for where we are. What we are looking at as Kenyans, what Kenyans want to hear is a story of hope, not blame games. It's very easy to point fingers. And it's very easy to track that history and say, look, in 92 this happened, in 97 this happened. We're here as a country. Kenyans want to hear messages of hope. The reason why, if you look at even the voter registration, the numbers are low amongst young people, is because there was no inspirational story from any side at that point. Everyone was about, oh, we're doing badly, these guys have been bad.
But isn't that a fact, though? That people are earning less, the economy is not doing well. That's a fact. As
a leader, you paint a picture of the future. You must have a vision. You must do less of history. And that's what we get a lot from Azimio, about, oh, history, this is how Kenya started, this is where we were. I remember there's a time I was on this set, and I was debating, that time I was the chairman of TNA, and I was debating with my good friend, Professor Nyang Nyongo. He was the SG of ODM. And during that debate, we went back and forth. Then he asked me, where were you during the second liberation? I told him, I'd have loved to be part of this, but I was in class 2, you know. Kenyans, by generation, the majority of Kenyans want to hear about the future. What are you going to do tomorrow? Not the romanticized history of the past. So I think what we need to focus on is what is Kenya Kwanza offering and what is Azimio offering. I mean, all of them have been the same.
But the thing
they've been in KANU, they've been in NAC together, they've been in the same party.
I'll come back to that, because this sets a very good stage. Here's the thing, though. We cannot have a conversation about the future without a past.
But we have to have... They're all part of the same past. Tell me the difference in terms of past.
No, just saying, from where you sit, right?
They've been part of the same past. Our generation wants to chart a path to the future. And that's where our focus is. You can either choose to look at Kenya in terms of what it has always been, or look at Kenya in terms of what it must be. That's a choice you must make. So you're either stuck in the past, and that's why even a car, the rearview mirror is smaller than the windscreen. We must look forward as a country. This is where we are, yes. Everyone has played a part in it. You know, you can talk about the dark days of Moi.
No,
Uhuru Kenyatta was in KANU.
A much recent history.
Tinga was in KANU. Even as recent as the last 5 years, they've both been in the same. I mean, William Ruto was the deputy president.
Still the deputy president.
He still is the deputy president. Raila Odinga,
unless he
handshake.
Resigned.
No, he hasn't. Okay. And he will not.
Okay.
Kenyans want to hear about tomorrow and today.
Okay.
The high cost of living.
Can I just add
what
one thing?
What opportunities for our young people? and our women.
Okay.
And that's how we chat. So let's frame the discussion.
I agree with you, but in the process of framing this discussion, every single one of us has a story of hope. Every single one of us has a story of the Kenya that we all want. But at the end of the day, it's as simple as, I'm going to give it to you in a very, very folklore kind of story. When you want to get someone to be wedded, a young girl, whether it's from your family, it's your daughter or else, you start by asking, what's the history of this person, You just don't go and start saying that this is a person. In Kiswahili, we have a saying that haununui ng'ombe kwa kuangalia katu. You don't buy a cow by saying that this is a very, very beautiful cow, look at it and everything else. And if you want to see how fat it is, actually look at the footprints of that particular cow. You measure someone through the integrity and everything else that they have been able to do. For the record, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is not going to be the president. He's not going to be on the ballot. The ballot, it is Raila Amolo Odinga. Measure Raila Amolo Odinga on him, his strengths, all right? The strengths of his lieutenants, his generals.
All right.
When we start talking about that, let us forget about everything else and erase the past. We are going to have selective amnesia, Sakaja, and that is not what this country needs. The country needs to be told. The country needs to be told that every single one of us is selling a vision of hope. And we are trying to say that this is what we want. This is the destination that we want. Because
I'm trying to get, and that's why I set the stage with this, like what differentiates the different coalitions, right? Otherwise, then they would not need for, Kenya Kwanza or Azimio.
I can explain it. You see, where we are as a country, politically, and the reason I'm drawing that parallel is that we need to focus on what the offerings are. What Kenyans want to hear is what is Kenya Kwanza offering and what is Azimio offering. When you talk about the past, there's a lot of similarity. How I understand Azimio la Umoja, and remember, I'm speaking from a point of some authority as having been part of TNA, Jubilee, being a founding member, being chairman, etc., and understand the motivations and understand both of the candidates. Azimio la Umoja is focusing on unity, which is an important thing. It's a good thing. Remember, when President Kibaki became president in 2002, those who were born 2 years later are now voting. Yeah, the intricacies of 2002, 2007 are not first and foremost in their minds. They're looking for jobs and opportunities. Azimio holds the thought that if we sort out a few people at the top and unite this, that the urgency in this country is about umoja and bringing people together in terms of the top. Unity is important for us. We understand that. But we understand you get unity through equalization of economic opportunities. That you cannot have cohesion without equalizing opportunities. When there was post-election violence in Kenya in 2007, the violence was in Kibera, not in Lavington. It was in Mathare, not in Muthaiga. It was those who are at the bottom of the economy. And that's what we were saying. For us, what is the most important thing? Is that if a Kenyan in Laikipia knows that his child has the same shot at life as a child born in Kisumu or in Nairobi because of economic opportunities, then we will have that, unity.
Okay.
And then we'll be able to lift people up. Today, the biggest challenge, as I finish, my schoolmate, the biggest challenge today, our young people have no jobs. People cannot afford food. Maize meal, for instance, has gone to how much? 200 shillings. Cooking oil, salad, that was, and I'll give you a very quick example, has moved from 250 to 400 shillings. There's a group of ladies I've been supporting in Mukuru. They make chapatis. One packet of chapati, of flour, produces 25 chapatis. Yeah? I'm sure you know that, Abdulswamad. I'm not sure you've cooked chapatis, but you should know that. Now, from one packet...
That's a very sarcastic statement.
No, yeah,
and I know where it's going.
But let me give the example. Let me give the example. As I finish. Yes, let me give it quickly. From one packet, they make 25 chapatis. It cost them 600 shillings. Because the flour was 110, the oil was 250, charcoal is 100. So all the costs come to 600 plus labor, etc. So they'd be able to sell chapatis at 30 bob, etc. and make a profit. Today, that flour is 220. that oil is 400 shillings, the total is 900 shillings, they've all closed their businesses.
Okay.
That is the urgency of this country. Not a few people sitting on a table saying, if we, the big boys, are happy, Kenya will be happy. It is the economic opportunities. Uchumi Kwanza is what we're selling as Kenya Kwanza. Not Katiba in positions.
Okay. Can I say this?
Can you do it quickly?
One, as quick as I can. One, Sakaja is totally misunderstood. It was not about unity. It was about unity of purpose. And that purpose was the people. And amongst the issues that we were discussing about was that simple economic revolution that we are talking about. Hear me out, Sakaja. I gave you an opportunity. You misled people by telling us that you know, it was all about self-interest. Ours was about unity of purpose. Our party leader, before anything else, went around every single part of this country. What they're calling an economic forum right now, we did that way back, listening to the needs of people. When my party leader came to Mombasa and he heard the concerns of the people in Mombasa, that the SGR has hurt us, that the issue of the port, we wanted to be something that is going to not affect us, but actually enrich us. And all these other things. And when we're talking that, yes, we have a problem, that there are no jobs, that we're talking about the cost of food is high. In medical sense, when you see an accident, the first thing that you do is you don't go and start looking for blood transfusion and adding it on.
Or the history of the accident.
You look for, exactly, you look for what caused it, and you heal that particular puncture first, all right? And you cannot be the one that's saying that I'm going to give you blood, but at the same time, you're the same person who actually pierced the person in the first place. You're
suggesting that's what Sakaja has done?
No, I mean,
it's your team.
You know, no. They can't get away. By the way, this applies to both their president and their deputy.
That's what I'm saying. Let's focus on the future and what we're offering Kenyans.
With all due respect, I want to focus on that. I want to take a short break. Those are just opening statements. And you can hear we have not gone so far. We still have a lot to chime in with all respect. Don't go too far.
The county government of Nakuru wishes to inform land rate defaulters within Nakuru County that due to consideration of public demand and post-COVID recovery measures, His Excellency Governor Lee Kinyanjui has granted a 100% waiver of interest accrued on all outstanding land rates as at 23rd May 2022. The waiver runs from 24th May to 27th June 2022. Take advantage of this waiver period to clear your outstanding arrears. Please take note, the county government of Nakuru will take all the necessary legal measures on non-compliance upon the end of this waiver period. Payments should be made to authorized bank accounts and paybill number. For more details, visit our county revenue offices or website www.nakurucounty.go.ke. Nakuru County, County of Unlimited Opportunities.
In the last 2 years, Centum Real Estate has completed and handed over 600 plus homes in Nairobi and Vipingo. Riverbank at 2 Rivers, comprising 1, 2 and 3 bedrooms plus DSQ apartments, is among the move-in ready homes available for sale from 15 million Kenya shillings and rent from 120,000 Kenya shillings per month. The apartments present the epitome of live, play, shop and work, luxury living within the same complex. The Riverbank apartments assure you state-of-the-art security in a lush landscape with exquisite views. Call +254 713 877 777 for details.
Jamani, nini mbona mnalumbana?
Sasa huyu mwanamke anafanya kazi ni kama amelegea. Ni mimi ndo kuamua Sera atapumzika lini kwa hii nyumba.
Hatumfuti Sera, sawa?
Sasa sote tumekuwa rembo wako. Ni mzee unamtaka? You can have him.
Richard, kuna kitu nataka kukuambia.
We understand in life, the things that you desire the most are within reach when we unlock possibilities. UAP Old Mutual is now Old Mutual.
Hii reli haikukuwa ya kulete umaskini Mombasa. hii reli ambayo tumejenga ilikuwa ya kuleta utajiri Mombasa, lakini watu wachache wameitumia vibaya ili wajitajirishe watu wachache na kumasikinisha watu wengi wa Mombasa.
Wakatuambia ati hiyo ni reli inaenda mahali pasipojulikana. Mimi nawauliza watu wa Narok, Narok hapa ni Kenya ama ni mahali hajulikani? Kwani reli ikikuja Narok imeenda mahali ambapo hapajulikani? Kuna watu ambao hawaelewi maneno. Ufanye hii, ufanye nini, hawawezi kuelewa. Kazi yao ni kupinga, kazi yao ni kuweka maneno machafu.
All right, with all respect, welcome back. Now, does the past has anything to do with the present? And can we trust anything that we hear from both coalitions? You spoke about SGR, and I just want to clover and go through that. Why is the SGR a big thing and a big problem? Is it a Mombasa issue alone? It's not a Mombasa issue alone. Today, coincidentally, I was at the Transport Committee on behalf of my sister, Mishimboko, who had other commitments elsewhere. One of the issues that so many members of parliament are currently raising is the effect that the SGR has had on those little tiny towns, you know, from the Ukambani area, from the whole corridor, from Mombasa all the way up to Mtitonde onwards. But see, let me tell you what the effect of this SGR had. 27% of Mombasa's economy is derived from logistics, transport, warehousing. When they decided to enforce this issue of SGR, they didn't just kill the part of the transportation part alone. They killed a whole industry, a whole line. When we were on the front line saying that this is going to kill our economy because we could feel it, the first thing that they were doing, we could actually feel it. It was being felt instantly. And every single time I've raised this matter, I brought in motions in the National Assembly, motions that were approved by every single member, and they said, what did you want? What did you want? What we simply said is, let it be an open decision by any single person who wants to use whatever it is that they want to use. Now, courtesy of the Jubilee government that decided that the cost of taking these loans ended up being so high, it was impossible for the SGR to match in cost. So they had to now come up with a way of enforcing. And one of the other things that they also did, see, when the Deputy President was talking about we cannot take the port inland, what our argument was that the services of the port, clearing and forwarding, warehousing, inland container depots, when you take everything from Mombasa, Mombasa was not born as a tourist destination. We were born as a trading and a logistical hub, and it's maintained that way. So when you take all these functions from Mombasa, the first thing you're doing, you're killing every single system that is there. They literally thought that, you know, we were just, you know, we were probably insane or anything. And I'm so surprised. The same Deputy President, not once, not twice, by the way, one of the people who tried to go against my motion in the Transport Committee when I raised it was the current nominee for UDA's Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. On record, like, he didn't even lie about it. He just went and said that, no, the port does not belong to the people of Mombasa. As far as I'm concerned, this is not the, you know, we're not going to approve this and everything else. And we went ahead. Now, one of the major reasons why ourselves, and we feel that we're stuck to the hip with Raila Amolo Odinga, is in his opening remarks. And I'll always say this, in his opening remarks at Kasarani, when we were giving him the mandate to be the ODM flag bearer, his opening remarks was, I went to Mombasa and I listened to the people of Mombasa, and we're going to actually look at, we have to review these terms. Okay. Now, this other side were part and parcel of actually pushing down our throats, and they're saying that now, I'm going to come back to 2 months to the elections, that they're actually saying that no, we're going to reverse it. It's total hypocrisy. Sakaja, I have to make a mention about this SGR because it was a national project, and it didn't happen yesterday, right? From your history, you know, in National Assembly, when those arguments were being made, to the Senate, you know, when the same arguments were being made and the implementation of, like, where were you?
I'm on record. including looking at the labor issues on the SGR as chairman of labor, the issue of the foreigners, let me not mention the country, who are still in charge of, running things that we thought Kenyans would operate. You see, political expedience is expensive. Yeah. All this time, even after the handshake happened, and for me, I keep saying let's focus on what needs to be done. For instance, the Nyali MP, Mohamed Ali, kept talking about these issues, and the party of my brother was very quiet about that time because
no, actually, no, you're actually very wrong.
I didn't interrupt you.
No. He's never raised it. Hold on. You're a parliamentarian. You actually know that when you want to talk about someone, you have to have a substantive motion. However,
I'll give it.
However, he has not raised this matter not even once. Not even once. Not
okay,
even
in Parliament. Can I finish my point?
In Parliament.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Can I finish
Laws
my
are
point?
not made out on the streets.
Can I finish my point?
And even when the DP was actually raising this matter, no, I mean it's one thing. I mean where he wants to
just let me finish my point.
You
said when you were speaking, you said many things that I didn't agree with.
You'll respond. Okay.
And I've also interrupted.
All right, go ahead.
We're from a good school. When someone speaks, you listen, and then you come in later.
Our school, we don't mislead people. Go ahead.
Yeah, you've done that. And when all these points were being raised by many people, including Muhuri and all of these activists in the coast, there was a lot of silence. And what the people of the coast are saying is that you can't come now and say that you realized these problems that were happening to us, and now because of political expediency, you want to talk about them. For me, what's important is this. The problem with our country has been that we think politics is, zero-sum game. That is, we're competitive to a fault. That it is either inland or the coast. Of course, regarding the Shagos, right? The port is not about just Mombasa. It's a national asset, but it must benefit the people of Mombasa in a certain way. It must benefit the rest of the country in a certain way. So for us, it was about, and from where I sit, including as a contestant for Nairobi governor, is how do we create this, how these national assets benefit the whole country. The problem was the economics around the SGR. In terms of the tonnage, in terms of the number of wagons and the how much they would cost to carry containers, that math was not done properly, and that is why people are being forced to put all of their cargo on it to bring it all the way to the inland container depot or all the way to Naivasha, and that was the problem with it. Now, what we should have done?
What problem was that?
It's a problem for this country.
But who, Sakaja, at some point someone has to take responsibility.
Of course, the government must take responsibility.
Okay.
The entire government.
Carry on.
To say the truth. But what we must say now is this. Look, we're going into an election. The people of Mombasa have suffered for all these years. There's been silence around that issue. What is the best bet for them? Let's not try and score political points from the suffering of people. I know people who've closed their CFSs. I know people who are working at the port, people who are doing menial jobs, which are important jobs, from across the country in Mombasa. Mombasa is a cosmopolitan city. It's or county, so to speak. Let us give them hope and say, look, if both of the parties now realize there's a mess there, what is the best way forward for them? I'd rather focus on that. But if you want us to focus on pointing blame on who is the cause of that problem, I'll let Abdulswamad interrupt himself and talk about it. Because he's been a leader in Mombasa. Let him tell us what he's been saying about it.
Actually, let me tell you, the amount of times that I've actually been able to raise this in the National Assembly, including the last resort that the Speaker of the National Assembly had to do was that consolidate everything and put it into one motion, because every single time the Jubilee government was actually trying to consistently, and at that time, even when they started this handshake or no handshake there, every single time, and when they say that it is an issue of blame game and no one was talking about it and people were silent, there's those who were silent, and then there's those who actually shoved it down our throats.
Okay.
All right.
I hear you.
Then there's those who actually fought for it.
I need to get to the Mombasa issue because I need now to start drilling down into why both are here. So, as the governor of Nairobi, governor of Mombasa, what are the solutions on what's happened this year? What are you proposing?
First and foremost, I'm glad and happy that even before they tried to do this, my party leader has been on the forefront and actually saying that this is wrong. It is ethically, economically, it is totally wrong. You can't kill a whole county like the way that they have done. And in our opening remarks,
who is your coalition partner? Who?
as far as I stand right now, it is my party leader is Raila Amolo Odinga,
the Jubilee government,
and Martha Karua is proudly my deputy president. But all said and done, one of the first things that have to be done, and there's no other way out of it. My argument,
yeah.
And I will be keen on actually putting my foot down on it as well. One, these decisions need to be totally reversed.
Which decisions now?
The decisions of saying that every single business, clearing and forwarding, warehousing and everything else going back into the mainland port. And the other thing that we're actually going to do is look for ways, legal, to make sure that Mombasa has a stake in the port. We will define the Port of Mombasa as our natural resource. We define it as our natural resource. Ports, ferries and harbours, as per the Constitution, are actually devolved. The argument that is there is that national government has always invested in it. Fair enough, you invested in it, but we have to have a stake in the Port of Mombasa.
And I assure you,
we have to have a stake in the Port of Mombasa.
Okay.
And
I assure you, when we take over government as Kenya Kwanza, you'll have your stake in the port. Mombasa will have its stake, because what we believe in is opportunities for economic opportunities, and that's the most important thing for us. So I'm glad you're speaking like that, because this country needs innovative ways of looking at our issues. We can't always be just either black or white, just either hinterland or the coast. There is enough in this country for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed. If we see beyond those divisions of us versus them, everybody benefits from these natural resources.
Let's flip this to one of the key issues, and the polling, you gentlemen would have known this. One of the three key important issues that I mentioned at the beginning, access to clean water. We have two huge cities, and I think it's one of the top cities, Nairobi, where that running clean water is a problem.
Yeah.
Sakaja, how are you going to fix this?
Water is a problem in Nairobi, and this problem is historic. In Nairobi, we have 4 water sources, starting with Kikuyu Springs. Kikuyu Springs was developed in 1907. And it's a natural source of water, but it only provides 1% of our water. After that, in 1936, we had Duiru Dam that was developed. That also provides just 4%. And then you go to Sasamua in Nyandarua County, which gives us 11%, and then Dakaine. The last development of a water source for Nairobi was in 1997. So the first issue with Nairobi water, or the water in Nairobi, is the quantity that actually comes in. We need almost 850,000, cubic meters of water, or million liters. If I say that, it's easier to understand. But all we have is 525,600. So there's a shortfall of 325. So the first project the government is doing that will help us with the quantity issue is the Northern Collector Tunnel. That, which ends at the end of 2023, will give us 140,000 million liters of water. So, and it's 94% done in terms of the tunnel, but only 30% done in terms of the pipeline. So we get the quantity. Once we get the quantity, we need to sort out the issue of the distribution of water.
Which is where the key problem is, because part of Nairobi's problem is also the planning, that we built houses everywhere and there was no plan on how infrastructure was going to get in and how other facilities were going to get in.
And you're spot on. So if you see a global capital like Nairobi, because Nairobi is not just what we see it as Kenyans, but what the globe sees it as. It's a global hub. Now the last exploration of water sources in 1997, we have a problem. If someone comes here and tells you that as governor they'll sort out water in a month, they're lying to you. The quantity issue will be sorted out by end of 2023, but beyond that, there are other shorter measures we can make. Yeah. So even by end of 2023, we'll have only added 140,000 million liters of water, plus what comes in the Northern Collector Tunnel 2. But in the meantime, there are other short-term things we can do. Number one, sort out the issue of infiltration of the current water distribution system. We have people, and you call them cartels, and I keep saying cartels are a lazy excuse for leaders who don't want to work, who have blocked the actual piping, closed it, closed levers, built houses, and have water bowsers moving around.
Sure.
That is not the solution, water bowsers. You use SCADA technology, for instance, in Nairobi, and you'll be able to tell, as governor, and that's why I picked a deputy governor who's good in systems and IT, that with SCADA technology, I can tell that in Mekato hapa, Kariobangi, or in Langata, and those people who have been blocking water from reaching the residents of Nairobi will be stopped. So it's about governance, it's about the infrastructure, but more importantly, for a long-term solution, because there are no quick fixes for the city. And I'm sorry, there are no quick fixes. But we want diligence and resilience that will give us proper solutions. Let's add the quantity with Northern Collector 1 and 2. Beyond that, the other projects that are being looked at. But while we're at it, let's have a corrupt-free regime in terms of water governance and water management. We'll use technology to make sure that there's distribution. There are areas in this city that have never had piping. If you go to Embakasi East in Utawala, if you go to Ruai, if you go to Mihango, there's never been any piping. So it can be solved. In the meantime, look at what NMS has been able to do. 100 boreholes. Of course, they're seasonal, but they've been able to serve wananchi, providing water directly to the people as we sort it out. My dream for this city is that every house will have a tap of piped water. It is not about going with buckets.
In how long?
In the next, I have a 5-year term.
So in 5 years, you promise piped water?
Ultimately, by the end of 5 years, there will be piped water for everyone. Because you know something, James? More than 70% of Nairobians have never had a shower from the top.
Okay.
Nimando. Now, going to communal places of, buckets, because we don't even have the pressure. We want to sort it out, but you cannot sort out the problem if you don't understand what the cause of it was. So that is my promise, that we'll sort it out systematically and provide hope for the people.
Let me ask you, there's the same problem. Mombasa, again, a city, water is...
20% of the households are the ones that actually have access to fresh piped water. 20%. 80% depending on the water bowsers, the cartels, the people who are selling so-called fresh water, the rest of the boreholes. We are blessed enough, our underground water level is not as deep as places like Nairobi, so you dig in, I think about 80 meters or so, and you're able to get some water there. But then even that has had a very, very negative effect.
What's your plan?
We have to look at seriously desalination. We're blessed with the ocean. We have an ocean, unlimited supply of water, and every single time that people are out there, and this has happened in other parts of the world. We can never ever say, and I always believe this, the role of government isn't to do business with its citizens. The role of government is to enhance the life of its citizens. So first and foremost, if we can be able to tap into desalination, we don't have to say that we're going to have the manpower, the capacity to...
So what does it need for us to do this, and why has it not been done?
We will, I cannot speak on behalf of the current regime, but I can only speak on behalf of what I intend to do. And one of the things that we do intend to do is consider partnering with other stakeholders into looking at a way of desalinating water. And I'll give you a small example. If you want to know how feasible this is, it's more expensive. The amount of money that you would pay, genuinely pay, per cubic meter of water, if it was coming from Mombasa water, would be cheaper than the cost of, the jerry cans and everything else. All said and done, you've not even included the aspect of the hygiene part of it, the wasting of resources and everything else. But it is actually cheaper. And if we can be able to get that cheaper for people, why would people opt to start going into jerry cans, and people start opting to go into these boreholes?
Do you have timelines for these projects?
Well, I'm anticipating, considering as well procurement laws that are there in this country. I have to consider as well whether a feasibility study has already been done. I know that there are people of interest who have already shown interest through various other means. But we might be able to try and do this in about 3 years.
Okay.
I do not see us having, I would always rather be judged in saying what it is that I believe, and it actually transpired to be that way. We cannot have a shortcut into this madness. And by the way, you want to know that this is something that can easily be attained. You've got a pipeline, a valuable pipeline, the oil pipeline. If there's a leakage or even one single part of it that can actually indicate that there's a detour of that oil, it immediately sends a notification. And you're not even looking at one county as Mombasa, with the size of Mombasa being as it is. You've got a pipeline that connects all the way from Mombasa all the way to Nairobi and further. And just by someone trying to tap in, you can actually be able to tell. Okay. We can be able to implement something similar so that we don't waste our resources.
Okay, gentlemen.
And just to emphasize this point, I agree with most of what he's saying.
Not all.
Of course, not all, but most of it, because he understands the issues of Mombasa. I think on top of desalination, you look at Kikuyu Springs and all these sources of water, we need to tap a lot of it before it gets to the ocean. You know, there's a time I was at Kipini, where the water drains into the Indian Ocean from Tana River. Let me tell you, when you look at the millions of liters of fresh water pouring into the Indian, you know, just gushing. And then you're from sorting out, I was there as a chairman of Cohesion and Equal Opportunities in the National Assembly. The conflict you've just left from sorting out in Tana River is about famine and about grazing because there's no water. Yet there's millions of liters just pouring into the Indian Ocean. We need to tap a lot of it before it gets there. Desalination is extremely expensive. So what's much cheaper is tapping it before it actually gets into the ocean. And world over, there's international treaty, the Treaty of the Seas, that allows us to do that, because you must sort that out. So on top of Kikuyu Springs, explore more sources, but you know, just
maybe just to explain to Sakaja what the laws currently are. There is coast water. Mombasa water does not go and tap water directly from coast water. It is actually coast water. Coast water is a body, it's a state corporation owned by national government. Mombasa Water is the one. So first of all, Mombasa Water has no mandate to be able to go and tap into. So you have to.
I mean, your solutions won't just be Mombasa. You're looking at a coast region, you know. So work together. Kipini is in Malindi.
You know, Kipini is actually in Lamu.
Yeah, Lamu, Malindi. It's the border, really.
It's not the border.
Gentlemen, yes. I mean,
that's besides the point. The point is you must work together as coastal counties to give your people water.
Sakaja, yeah, as we start, you know, to go to the final part of this program, one of the things that has come through social media and the questions about what's your vision of Nairobi and how do you push back people to say, look, Sakaja does not know the issues of the people of Nairobi.
How would I not know the issues of the people?
That you're a cool kid.
How
do you answer that?
I was born, let me tell you, of all of us here, I can walk to where I was born. I was born right here in Ngara, you know, and I've been raised in Ngara. I've been in Nairobi all my life. I've lived in both sides of the city, in, whether it is Embakasi, Maradaima, Hurlingham, etc. I've been a leader in the city. And I thank the people of Nairobi for having given me the opportunity to serve them as senator and as a member of National Assembly. When I've been in those two houses, I've understood the assignment. When I was my brother's colleague in the National Assembly, you remember, I brought almost the highest number of bills. The only person maybe would be Millie Odhiambo, who also brought a similar number, addressing the issues of the people of Nairobi then, before being an elected leader, including issues of, you know, 30% procurement opportunities for young people, employment authority, etc. I understand those issues, and I thank God. You know, Shakespeare says, truly wise is he who learns from another's mishap. I have studied the government of Governor Kidero, you know, what he succeeded in, what he's not able to do. I have understood the government of Mike Sonko, what he was able to do with his intentions, what was not able to be done. I've looked at the NMS, and I think I'm best suited, as having played that oversight role, to actually provide those solutions. So I have been, you know, there as a leader. And my people, they know the difference between what you're trying to
No, it's just a bit of pushback. There's always a fight in Nairobi, and I mean, we'll go to the next county, between, you know, is it a business hub, is it a home for the citizens of this country?
What we want.
Nairobi? Where do you lean mostly, and how would you frame that issue so that people understand your candidate a bit more? Like, in this Nairobi to make it a business hub, so that we are all, attracting all those international conferences, Nairobi to fix, this Nairobi for the residents, the many residents.
Nairobi is like an elephant that is really big. Depending on how you touch it, you'll describe it. Oh, it's soft when you're touching the ears, or it is long when you're touching the trunk. It depends on where it meets you. We want to give people of Nairobi a city of order and dignity, opportunities and hope for everybody. And by doing that, number one, we're talking about owning this city. What is the vibe around who Nairobi is? The whole world wants to be here. Geographically properly situated, a regional hub, an economic hub, a place of opportunities. Those opportunities must be economic. But for you to create that, you must have ownership. The people of Nairobi must know that this is our city.
Okay.
When you ask them, for instance, when you're doing your chama in your estates, and that's why I want to involve resident area associations, who is going to be treasurer? They're very specific. No, it can't be Babakamau, it must be Mama Otieno, whatnot. And it's just 20,000. But for 40 billion, when you ask people, where do you stay in Nairobi? You say, oh, I live in Kileleshwa, or I live in Jericho, or I live in Kiamaiko. It's very few who say, I am from Umoja. So you must first own it. It's not transitory. The many of us who just know Nairobi, it's our, it's our Ushago, it is our rural place, it's our current place. So you must first have identity. Once we have that and you take ownership, and I want to have participatory leadership, I'm going to work with the area resident associations. The people of Buruburu know the solution. The people of Karen know what they want to do. The people of, whether it is Waruku, whether it is Kangemi. And so unless you involve them, there's no magician who will come with a magic wand and say, oh, I'm going to solve all the problems of Nairobi. Okay. We must work with the people of Nairobi. We must scale down devolution and have 5 boroughs. We're going to divide it into 5 boroughs. Nairobi North, East, West, South, and Central. The person in charge of garbage in Langata cannot be the same person dealing with garbage in Kayole. It cannot be. Because even for accountability, when you ask them, oh, what is happening in Westlands on this issue of potholes, and they tell you, oh, so I'm sorry, Governor, I was dealing with a crisis in Upper Savannah or in Donholm. It cannot work. We must scale it down and have city managers. So we're going to have 5 city managers in Nairobi, God willing, if we win this election, and I hope we will, if the numbers you said are true. And those 5 city managers will be reporting to the chief city manager, who I hope my deputy governor will be.
Okay.
He will not just be sitting reading newspapers and eating mandazi. He'll have an actual role, and that's why he picked James Mushiri.
Abdulswamad, yes, it's announcing the cabinet.
I mean, they know Mushiri is Merani, mate.
Okay, wait. Abdulswamad, the same question. That your ancestry, they feel like son of a former minister. You're a cool kid. You do not know the issues of the people of Mombasa. How do you answer to that?
I want to tell you a small part of me. When I first vied for being a member of parliament, and I got a lot of skeptics who said that you only got those votes courtesy of the name of your late father. And God bless him. I mean, he's been an anchor in my life even till today. But at the end of the day, I inherited certain areas in my constituency at that time were not in his area. They were not part of Mvita constituency. But the second time when I vied, the amount of votes that I got were probably amongst the highest anyone has ever been able to get. No other single person was able to get the amount of votes that I was able to get in my constituency, regardless of any seat that anyone vied for.
How many votes did you get?
Our population is not the same as yours.
I'm wondering what you said.
Okay. But no, I mean in Mombasa, in my constituency, no one else was able to get that. But then, secondly, I don't want to spend the amount of time that we have here just to talk about my life and how I was brought up. But I can tell you one thing. One of the first priorities that we have for Mombasa is nothing else except money. First priority, second priority, third priority, we have to be able to rejuvenate the economy. Looking at the special economic zones, the Dongo Kundu, we have to be on the front line to say that what is at stake for the people of Mombasa, the industries that are going to come up. We've got another SEZ that we want Mombasa to be the one to spearhead in creating the Mombasa Industrial Park. One of the first things that we want to do as well is we're putting up ease of doing business desk. That is actually, when I said desk, I mean like a whole department that is going to be reporting to the governor's office. And that ease of doing business is if any single person, local or foreign investor, wants to come in, that role is a young person is going to be able to guide you through, this is what you need, these are the licenses. We remove every single bottleneck that is going to be there, the red tapes that are going to be there, and we say that this is what we want you to be able to do. You want to invest in this, we're going to be able to give this to you, and we hasten that process. But in the process of it all, we are going to have you know, what he calls barrows. Ours are similar to what he's talking about, but we are referring it as serikali mitaani. We want to take services right down to the grassroots, and one of the things that is going to do is we want to create a database. Who are our artisans? Who are the people that we've been able to educate in welding? Who are the people who have a degree in law? Who are the people who can be draftsmen and everything else? And one of the pre-requests that we're going to give to these people who are going to be investing, and we're removing all these bottlenecks, is we're going to give you this database. We're going to give you access to our database online and tell you, we want you to hire our own. And when I say our own, it's always referred, you know, on a tribal basis. I mean our own, any single person from Mombasa, regardless of your tribe, your religion, your color, or anything else. And one of the other things, I mean, I've been going around, it's a cry, it's a hue and cry. And I can understand where the people are coming from, considering the economic situation of Mombasa right now. Whether we like it or not, we're going to have to review the license fees.
Great. Are you worried about Mike Mbuvi Sonko entry into Mombasa's race?
I worry about one thing, and not to sound that I'm being cocky or I'm being overconfident, but I worry about not being a better version of who I was yesterday. I strive to be better than I was yesterday. And that's the reason why, you know, we are where we are till today. I'm not going to be the person who's going to start looking around my shoulder and wondering who's chasing me. I want the people who are behind me to start asking themselves the amount of dust.
It's a very diplomatic answer. I'll probably get different from Sakaja. Sakaja, are you worried about your main competitor, Polycarp Igathe?
No. I'm not worried about it.
Why?
Why would I be worried about it?
He's not a worthy competitor, that's what you're saying?
He's a worthy competitor, but why be worried about worth? Nairobians have a choice to make, and I think they'll make a choice between the candidates. I love discussing ideas. I don't discuss individuals.
Exactly.
Nairobians know both of us. They know who has been there, who has been resilient, who has stuck it through the times. And so they'll make their choice. So for me, it's to offer my candidature and my vision for the city, a city of order and dignity that we want to give the people of Nairobi in all aspects. We've just spoken about water. There are many things that we need to, you know, when we have time next time to talk about.
Okay.
And so I'm not worried about the competition. You never run for office alone.
Okay. Let me just get through some round of comments. My producers have collected a few then before we go to the final round of questions. Okay. Question first for Abdulswamad has been the chairman of Public Investment Committee, and they did approve on COVID-19 millionaires, the scandal that has no single arrests. What is the problem from where he sits? Let me get that, then I'll get the next for the spins for Sakaja.
My role, and I think we did a very, very beautiful job. I mean, there was nothing about anything being hidden. Every single person, the media was able to access everything. We did our report. The role of Parliament is to actually do it. Then there's what is called the executive. We recommended who are the people who should actually be charged, who are the people who are not fit to hold office. We recommended as well using legal means by getting, you see at the end of the day as well, you just don't arrest people, and after arrest, does it mean that the millions get lost, the billions? Yeah. We even recommended how this country can be able to save up to 4 billion with calculations, showcasing everything else.
Who stole our money?
The report is inclusive of about 100 and something companies. Whether the word that we're going to use is still, I think where the problem that came in is the management. I don't want to get, well, it's a report that has already been tabled, so I can actually discuss it. It's a public document. It's a public document. But the problem that actually came in is the management of KEMSA had no prior information, like what is the amount of goods that they will need. Now, you can understand if they're just going to buy a small quantity, but the problem that came in is they started continuously buying and buying and buying, and they created this this euphoria and this feeling that there was going to be death and sorrow all over, so we have to buy these things. And the worst part of it all is every time they were buying them, they were not being used because counties were not buying these items.
Okay. Okay, let me get to the next round of questions on your screen right now. Do you have a question, comment from Sakaja?
As it's loading, I am also on Twitter, and you know that with the technology these days, I've seen one quickly.
Yes.
Benson Mongera saying, ask Sakaja what's his plan on ease of doing business, especially with the Bible of licenses and permits. We've said this.
Yeah.
In Nairobi, when you go to a business, you find 10 licenses, 6 licenses, depending on what they do.
What's your promise to fix
There's
that?
going to be 1 license. All these other statutory bodies that require you to pay something will come to the county government.
National as well?
All of them will work with the national government.
Okay.
To have 1 license per business.
Okay.
Because today you come, someone tells you, oh, you didn't pay the fire license, 4,500 for a certificate,
yes.
As if the certificate will stop the fire, not an extinguisher. And then health license, and then food. No, it's going to be 1 license. You can't have a frame at the door of your building.
Okay.
You know, with all this, it's going to be 1 license in Nairobi.
Okay, let's get to the comments, and then to give you opportunity so that you can respond to all of them at once. Maggie from the Twins Youth Group, kindly tell Mheshimiwa Swamad that we need him to focus on and invest in the education and health sectors. His manifestos are real bright and good. I'm from Mombasa. That sounds like your supporter, by the way. Kindly ask the incoming governor of Nairobi, Johnson Sakaja, how he's going to create job opportunities for the youth. All right. Do you have another one?
Can I answer?
We'll come to it. If your child is hungry, you need to give him hope on curing his or her hunger, not telling them how you survive the hunger in your tender time. Duncan Opumbi.
Yes, exactly.
Sakaja should supply all leaders with manifestos. This has well-thought ideas capable of generating to action. Carol Baraza Karima. And the last one, ask Sakaja, what plans does he have in making Nairobi cleaner and greener, also eradicating labor-intensive sweeper and modernizing the street cleaning processes to make Nairobi like Kigali. Je suis Shali. All right, yeah, that's your comment. So let's speak up from, you know, whatever it is. Sakaja, let's start with you with, you know, all the questions about opportunities first. Quickly.
Opportunities. When we talk about a city of opportunities, you know, we spoke about order and dignity. When you have order and dignity, then it creates hope that, you know, life can change. Government does not create jobs. And I keep saying it. Even when we did the Employment Authority and the 30% procurement opportunities, but if we align our policies within government, because government, number one, is the biggest supplier, not everybody is going to be employed, but we create a conducive environment for the private sector to thrive. When you create order in this city, then you don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. to drop your child to school, to be there by 8 a.m. You don't have to waste, you know, hours in traffic. That today in Nairobi, you can do one business deal in Mombasa Road and another in Westlands. You have to choose which day you do which one. We sort out mobility. We're able to have businesses more efficient. We incentivize them in terms of the permits and fees and taxes that they're paying. Then they'll be able to create job opportunities. What we're going to create in Nairobi, which is part of the bottom-up economic framework, is a hustler fund. In every ward, we're committing 50 million shillings. That is 4.2 billion from a 40 billion budget. That 50 million shillings is going to go to young people, to women, to businesses that are down there, to expand them. That is what is going to create the opportunities.
Part of the problem with those funds, and you've always wanted since 2013, the youth fund, the women fund, and the rest
those
of it.
Those are political funds.
But what was the difference with this one?
I'm talking about a government policy. You see, Uwezo, people said, oh, after Tukipata, we don't need to pay back.
But Uwezo was a government policy.
It was given as a promise that if we win in round 1, we will give you money that you don't have to pay back. This one you'll have to pay back. What's
the difference? How are you going to make a youth group that you give money to pay back the money?
Because you're not just giving a group. You're looking at businesses that are already established or people who are already trying. We're going to have mentors in those communities. That this person has run a hardware shop, and if he supports these other young people, they can have community-owned businesses. And so if this group of young people are not running it well, then you give it to another group that can employ more people. The problem of giving people just throwing money at problems is that, for instance, there are many people I've seen in Nairobi during campaigns giving tanks to youth groups. They take the tank, they sell it the next day, and they share the money. So we must have solutions that listen. And you will see it on the 14th or even closer when you do this forum in Nairobi. That we're bringing together, because we're not saying bottom versus up, bottom to up, that you bring those who are developing real estate, for instance, and those who are doing carpentry in Uhuruma or in Ngong Road, and say, look, if people are able to supply this number of door frames, we're going to take them for our buildings. So it is market driven, that this is what the market needs today, this is what we're going to supply. So it is not bottom versus up, it is not just throwing money at problems, but there's going to be a fund. There's a lady somewhere in Kangemi today who who just needs 10,000 for a first bunch of bananas to sell. It'll change her life.
So
we can't trivialize that.
Okay.
So that is about opportunities. The second question was about how we make Nairobi cleaner. We must make Nairobi cleaner and brighter. We must dismantle the current system that is being used to sort of this city. Yeah, we cannot have a tender-based or procurement-based or tenderpreneur-based system of cleaning this city, where your garbage is only collected or rather weighed at Dandora dam site. Yet we don't look at what you've done in the lots that have been allocated to you. Today I had a meeting with the county government workers, and they said, look, a lot of this work being given out is work that we can do. You know, how do we partner then also with the private sector, with the young people in those mitaa to aggregate garbage and create a recycling plant and energy, production in Dandora? I'm happy I was in AIPC Dandora 2-3 weeks ago, and the MP and all those members said that for once we are ready to actually have this recycling plant done. The problem has been political goodwill. Okay. That the previous regimes, when this is offered, they say, okay, what is in there for us? We opened a basketball court in Korogosho with the Masai Ujiri, Toronto Raptors president. And later he was like, how do we open a court and these people are inhaling fumes? There's a whole section in Bagathi just for Dandora people because of those fumes. He took me to Toronto and I saw their garbage dump, the lot, bigger than Nairobi's and Mombasa. You will not see a single fly. You will not smell a whiff of garbage. Why? They're recycling it. They're creating energy. It can be done. It must be done in Nairobi. The people of Nairobi deserve as much, and we're going to do it.
All right, Abdulswamad, your questions?
But first of all, in regards to the Uwezo Fund, maybe I just want to, ours has been a success story. Success story to the effect that we're about to release another 9 million. We've rotated this same amount of money, it was 16 million in total that we've been able to rotate. It has been close to 100 plus. That means it's been rotating. People have been able to pay back. The reason is only one. You, as much as it is a political issue as well, but you also have to have that goodwill. You give it to the people who actually have applied, and yes, they can be able to pay back. So ours has been a success. I don't know about the other constituencies, but ours has been a beautiful success story. In regards to education, I think I've spent quite a huge amount of my time in and out of Parliament in regards to matters of education. One of the first things that we have realized is children not being able to go to school because of meals. And when I say this, probably some of the people who are watching us on TV will not realize what it is that we're talking about, because we move on foot and go to the places right down there where someone actually watching TV is probably just a luxury. So one of the things that we want to start with, and this is with the ECDs, is ensure that there's a feeding program in our schools. And this can be able to be done through partners.
Funded by the county?
Partly yes, but mainly we do believe that we will be able to secure quite a decent amount of partners to be able to do this.
Have you done costings for this?
Yes, it has been done. I don't want to start getting into the figures right now, but we would not be able to commit something that, you know, when there's something called economies of scale. Right now, if me and you right now here want to get a meal, the amount of money that it would cost us would be way different per child when we're looking at every single other person. And we're, like I said, quote me on the part of the ECDs. That's the mandate of the county government. Okay. So we're going to start this with the county governments. We have had, as a constituency, one of the best bursary distribution. Secondary schools, I mean, every single person who applies, how they apply them, distribution. We want to use the same system this time round, sending it down to the Serikali Mitaani. That means you don't have to start getting all the way up to County Hall or to the Governor's office or to the MCA's office. There's going to be right down to Mashinani level where people can be able to apply for this. There was an issue that was asked in regards to matters to do with health. I have had a meeting with the leaders of the doctors and the nurses as well, and I've listened to their concerns, and some are very, very genuine matters that have to be addressed. You cannot have a beautiful hospital if the workforce is not motivated enough. Yeah. So we're looking at, immediately we come in, where I'm hoping that within a span of less than 30 days, I'll be able to get a task force report, a health task force report. We have a situation where some hospitals are overutilized The staff there are way less. In other instances, we have others that are way underutilized and others are overutilized. So we need to create a balance and look at a way of, with all these level 3 and level 2 that we have, what if we convert one of them and say that this is going to be specific for maternity? What if we do this and this? What if we have a dialysis center in one of them? These are the things that we're going to ask.
What's your vision for Mombasa? You know, quickly, 30 seconds. The way you see it.
It's not going to be as it is. That I can assure you. It is not going to be as it is. So much has happened. So much has happened. We need to capture on the positivity, grow on that, create momentum.
What will you do different? You've had 10 years to observe this, you know, the county setup.
Actually, it's not even about observing. I've been part and parcel of trying to ensure that some of these things are not going to happen. One of the things that we have to do, and I'm insisting again and again, is the economic situation of Mombasa. Mombasa is a county. I feel it when I walk down some of the streets and shops have closed. So the model of the Mombasa that we want, the first thing that we're going to do is emphasize on the economy of Mombasa, reviewing of these licenses. You can't have license fees being higher than what the gross county production of the county is. You know, so we have to review this and nothing else. One of the first things that we're going to look at is the economy of Mombasa.
Okay. Allow me just to add this, or rather to say this, because he said something very close to my heart. Early in 2020, you know, actually 2021, when COVID was going down, I visited Dagoretti constituency. I was giving desks to many schools where there'd been vandalism. So I gave desks in Raila Educational Center in Kibra, some schools in Marurui, as well as in Gatina. So when you go to give desks, and I'm sure you've seen it when you go as a member of parliament, the kids get excited. And they were like, oh, Super Senator, and you ask them, oh, how are you guys? What did you like me to do for you? Normally they would say, we want balls to play, or we want, sweets, or even a school bus. These kids say they want lunch, they want food. It's a primary school. And it broke my heart as a parent. Urban poverty is terrible. There are many kids who don't have anything at home and nothing in school. And if these kids have nothing in school to eat, they will not come to school. There are more children out of school in Nairobi because of food than in Turkana County. And our populations are not that much different. This school feeding program is something that we said we must do. And so we partnered and we worked with the CDF of Honorable KJ in Dagoretti South, together with Food for Education, an organization led by Wawira Njiru. And today, 8,500 children are getting food daily. Daily. Now we have 209 public primary schools in Nairobi. We're going to feed them as a county government.
How much is it going to cost?
It's a national function. Right now, each meal costs 25 shillings. We're going to reduce it because the parents are paying 15 shillings. There's what we call tap to eat. And tap to eat, then, you can top up by M-Pesa, and it's 15 shillings the parents are paying. They're involved in the cooking. One kitchen, which is built by CDF, is having 13 schools. The 209 schools are going to be served. So the county government is going to subsidize it much further from the 15 shillings to even at least 5 shillings. Because these kids, and I saw them and I ate with them, are getting a meal, 650 grams of food, proper food. They're not even finishing it. They're taking the rest home. If we can't feed our kids, we can't feed the future. Yes, it's not a devolved function. It's a national government function. But you can transfer, Article 187, you can transfer functions north or south, upwards or downwards. That is a function, and I'm glad that within Kenya Kwanza, I took the deputy president there to Mukarara Primary School in Dagoretti South. He saw that program, he has put it in the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, as school feeding. It is in my county government manifesto for Nairobi County. All our children, and not just public primary schools. That will be the focal point, because there are kids in schools in Nairobi that you call private. They're not really private. That it's just the same. It's just that because these ones are full. But if you look at the status, remember the school that collapsed in Ngando and kids died. Those are not, our private schools are not academies, so to speak. But we'll partner, we'll work with the private sector, we'll work with well-wishers, and many people are willing to do that. Let us at least feed our kids. If nothing else, imagine the stress it takes away from
I
a
really
parent.
have to go now.
Yeah, so we're gonna and many things. So
No,
I want to encourage my
I-
brother. Don't just do for ECD. We can do public primary schools, and food for education by Wawira is also in the coast.
Okay,
you can do it. Let's do it.
What's
At least for our cities.
As you make your final.
No.
final comments, 30 seconds.
I was actually saying and working out on the calculations when we've been doing this feeding program. I've been doing this for the last 12 years. As before I became a member of parliament, we kept it strictly during the exam period, and we realized that it is actually feasible. Now we've even started doing it even after, even out of Mvita constituency, and that was able to be done using friends.
Let's have Nairobi and Mombasa feeding all our kids, and you'll see what it changes.
We can spend forever. 10 seconds, 10 seconds on that camera. Why should Mombasa people vote for you and elect you? 10 seconds, very quickly.
I've been there with them, gone the journey with them, and looking forward to Mwanzo Mpya, Sauti ya Watu.
Okay. Sakaja, that's your camera. Yeah. Why should Nairobians vote for you? 10 seconds.
Because I believe in what majority of Nairobians believe in. That everybody wants the same thing in life. To go about their lives peacefully, to make something out of themselves, guarantee their children a future. I believe in a city of order and dignity, hope and opportunities for all. With me, we'll make that happen. Together. Not as a magician, but together we'll be able to make it happen because Nairobians have that in them and we believe in the same thing. That is why I would like them to vote for me.
All right, absolutely. We've been bombarded by everyone online and
who's bombarding you?
All schoolboys of Lenana High School. I hope these two gentlemen have represented you well.
At least we only have one governor from Lenana.
Absolutely.
We have one governor. In the last parliament, there were 16 members of parliament who were actually from the same school.
Including your opponent? That's a normal.
Yes. Yes, he's from Lenana as well.
Okay, listen yourself, gentlemen. There are no changes here. We still do this program every Tuesday. With all due respect, my name is James Pat. Please have a lovely night.
Thank you, boss.